KSAM, your hometown station, playing today's best country and all your favorites.
It's hot.
101.
All right. Man, I feel like it's been such a long time since we've been here, but it's so good to be back. And let's give a round of applause to our friends at True Texas Barbecue. We've been working on the MASH event here at KSAM, our annual Make a Smile Happen, and I was up here last night playing guard over our tent for a little bit, and I got hungry. I came in and I had a pulled pork sandwich. It was pretty good. So, well, Josh Criswell sitting in with me tonight. Josh, how are things going, man?
Doing great. Glad to be back here in person doing this.
Awesome. Well, Josh Criswell with the Huntsville Item. Let's welcome Josh. And he did a great job when I was out a few weeks ago. Let's give Josh a round of applause. Appreciate that, Josh. So thank you, man. Well, we'll get started here as we look back. We're talking about a Huntsville Hornet team that took care of business, a close contest versus Montgomery, a 23-15 victory. How about them Hornets? District champions. Come on. The Huntsville improved to 8-0 on the season, 5-0 in district play. They won the 10-5A Division II crown. 232 rushing yards, 73 yards through the air. Jalen McClain, another heroic night by that young man. 142 yards on 27 carries, 2 touchdowns. Josh, what has been impressive with you so far throughout this season with one game remaining? What has been some of the most impressive things for you so far, man?
You know, there's been a lot of impressive things. Obviously, early on, there were a lot of blowout victories really throughout the course of the season. But these last 2 weeks, you've had a little bit of adversity. And I've liked the way that the Hornets have responded. You know, obviously, 2 weeks ago, had that rough first half and then just blew away the opponent coming out in the second half against Montgomery Lake Creek. And then obviously last week, 2 chances down there, Montgomery knocking on the door, looking to score that game-tying touchdown late in the fourth quarter. But the Huntsville defense stepped up on both occasions.
It's kind of amazing how things as this season have progressed because, you know, we come out of the gates, we face a Brian Rudder team. We thought, man, this is going to be a tough contest. We took care of them. We played A&M Consolidated, thought that was going to be a tough contest, took care of those guys. And then really so far, the toughest game of the season has been Montgomery. Any surprise there, Josh?
You know, not too much of a surprise. There's a reason why Montgomery came into that game as the only other undefeated team in the district, and, you know, they also kind of blew out A&M Consolidated themselves. So they've been a really good team. They're the best passing attack I think Huntsville's faced all season long. But, you know, it was very good for that defense, I think, to step up in their first, you know, really strong passing game that they've faced, I think, since that first game of the district play against Brian Rudder.
Well, we'll step aside and take a break. When we come back, we'll talk to head coach Rodney Southern. Stay with us, friends. This is the Hornet Nation Coaches Show live tonight from True Texas Barbecue. We'll be right back in just a few moments.
True Texas Barbecue, smoked with Texas oak wood for up to 14 hours. Barbecue by the plate or pound, plus delicious sides like brisket, beans, creamed corn, potato salad, and coleslaw. Hungry? Stop by True Texas Barbecue inside H-E-B. Voted best barbecue chain in Texas the past 2 years by Texas Monthly. True Texas Barbecue presents the Hornet Nation Coaches Show with Rob Hipp and head coach Rodney Southern live every Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. Come early as seating will be limited. Sting 'em Hornets.
The holiday season is here, and that means Wiesner of Huntsville's Holiday Savings Event is too. Like getting a $3,000 rebate and 0% interest for 72 months on a 2020 Cadillac CT4 or CT5. Thinking of an SUV? What about a $2,500 rebate and 0% interest for 72 months on a Cadillac XT4 or XT5? We also have the all-new redesigned Escalades arriving daily. But these deals won't last long, so hurry down for the Wiesner of Huntsville's Holiday Savings Event or shop us online at WiesnerCadillac.com.
All right, friends, welcome back. We are live here at H-E-B True Texas Barbecue. How's everybody doing today? Good to see you. I told you, man, I like to get people clapping, get everybody hopping and rolling. We're having a lot of fun, and, man, we haven't been here in almost a month, so it feels good to be back in person. We are now joined by head coach Rodney Southern. Let's give a big round of applause to Coach Southern. Good to see you, Coach. Well, we're bringing on head coach Rodney Southern now. Coach, the toughest contest of the season last week, Huntsville, of course, securing the district championship. I asked you kind of a similar question after these games, but, Coach, how proud of you the kids this season, finding success through a lot of adversity, dealing with a lot of new players that are on the team, of course, losing those seniors that we talked about all season long, and then going through COVID. This team has really came out of the gate strong, Coach.
Well, they've played really well all year, and probably the biggest thing I'm most proud of is, whatever has happened. We talked early in the year that you're going to have to adjust according to whatever it is, because obviously the COVID situation is so fluid, you never know what that's going to be. And then the ability to have to adapt to, okay, we don't have a home stadium, so we're going to go to another 4A stadium and play our home games. And, how we handled that. Of course, the first half of that game was off of an open week, and some people said we didn't play real well. We just didn't make the opportunities or take advantage of them like we did in the third quarter. So, we're obviously proud district championships, but probably the thing I'm the most proud of is I asked them the other day, we didn't get too excited about that game the other night after the game was over. Even Dr. Shepard asked me, said they're just not real excited. I said, well, they got a lot more football left in them, and they expect this now. This is 3 and 4 years, and it gets you in the playoffs, but the biggest thing for us, it gets us a number 1 seed.
Coach, the offense continues to mature game in and game out. We've seen it. Here, the rushing, I wanted to talk about that, though. The rushing over the last few games has really came alive for the Hornets. What's been a contributing factor to that, Coach Southern?
Well, I think there's 2 or 3 things. Obviously, the kids learning and understanding, because we're doing some stuff now with 2 backs that a lot of people aren't doing anymore. Everybody's a spread RPO team now, and all of a sudden, we've got guys coming downhill at you, and they're coming fast at you. Q being one of them at fullback, who has helped us to be able to generate some of that. And the other thing is, we started at the beginning of the year. We had 1 senior in the O-line, 3 sophomores, and a junior. Well, those guys now have 8 games under their belt, plus the time we had in practice. And I think Jalen's gotten a little more comfortable because he's obviously the last few weeks he's had to carry the load because Butcher's, kind of had a tweaked ankle. But I think a combination of A.J. throwing the ball down the field a little bit more, every time JoJo gets open down the field, that makes your run game better. And the situation of being able to line up now and know, okay, if we need to drain some clock, we can line up and run the football.
You mentioned Jalen's strong performance, especially these past couple games. I think he leads the district with almost 700 yards and I think 9 touchdowns in district play alone, coming up on 1,000 yards in the season. For Jalen, what would you say is the biggest difference in his game that you've noticed from week 1 to where he is now heading into the regular season finale?
Well, probably the big thing is, when you get more comfortable from a vision standpoint, running backs, and a lot of people think, okay, well, you're going to toss him the ball or hand him the ball and he runs right there. Well, if right there is not there, you got to be able to make adjustments and be able to see the field and to see it at the level. A year ago he was on JV and he was good on JV, but I think the difference now is he's starting to see the field and he's got his head up and his eyes open. And I think the other thing, our offensive line's gotten a little better every week. If it's nothing more than experience, is probably the biggest thing. But I think AJ has helped some with the run game, but I think collectively, what our front 7 people are doing with our tight ends, I think it gives people problems because a lot of people don't see it very much, so they don't know how defensively to fit, and we end up with a gap open. And, of course, Jalen's done a good job running after he gets through the line of scrimmage too.
Ryan, you mentioned just a little bit ago about how y'all have done something that a lot of teams don't do anymore, and that's line up with 2 backs in the backfield and run it right at you. As a longtime coach in a day and age where we see spread offenses, growing more and more every day, do you get a little bit excited that you have a team this year that's capable of lining up in the power eye and run the ball right at you?
Well, I think it's probably more the ability to be balanced and to say, okay, like the other night, in that situation, if we need to line up and run the ball 3 times and get a first down, we ought to be able to do that. And if you haven't repped that enough, you get in a situation like that. Now, of course, we ended up with a fumble and other things happen. But if you got to get 3 first downs or 1 first down or 2 first downs, you got to be able to do that. Now, it's fun. As a coach, I love inside and team run where, you see that kind of stuff. Because the thing it does, and I think that's what's happened with us, those young O-linemen, now sometimes they're not thinking, okay, I got to zone step here and block this guy. They're coming off the ball and hit the guy that's in front of you and let Jalen or Butcher do the rest. And, when you can come off the ball like that, it makes football a whole lot more fun.
We're talking to head coach Rodney Southern here in this first segment as we're looking back to the victory last week. Coach, as I always ask you as well, just some takeaways from this ball game. We get down to the fourth quarter. I made a huge mistake in the broadcast booth thinking that the timeouts, there was only one remaining.
Run.
All right, friends, so welcome back for the quick intermission there, a little bit of extended intermission. Welcome back to the second segment here. We are live tonight with the Hornet Nation Coaches Show, live from True Texas Barbecue. Round of applause. Coach Southern back with us here again for this second segment coming up. And, Coach, we look ahead to this week, another big game here for Huntsville to close out the season. And finishing up against Lamar Fulshire this Friday in Madisonville. Technically, of course, a home game. And we're talking about the Chargers. They're 5-4 overall, 1-4 in the district. They will not make the playoffs. They defeated Lamar Consolidated for their first district win last week, just by a point, 29-28. Coach Fulshire, of course, going to try to end the season on a positive note on a 2-game winning streak. Just tell us the mindset heading into this one.
Well, the biggest thing is obviously to finish. It's what we told them Monday morning. We got to finish the regular season, and then you can kind of take a step back for a day, basically, and kind of regroup, because you're not going to know till sometime late Friday night who our first round playoff opponent will be. So finish the season and obviously finish the season undefeated. We didn't get a chance to play 10 games, but we've right now we beat everybody that was put in front of us. So obviously we want to take care of our business this week.
Well, Fulshire, they're kind of in the middle of the pack as far as district goes. Whenever you talk about their defense, they allow 281 yards a game on the offensive side. I just wanted to ask you, and I don't want to, of course, give away any game-type stuff that may impact the game, but with this game, and we know that we're the district champions, maybe an opportunity for some underclassmen to get some more playing time in this one, Coach? Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, you prepare everybody. If we travel on varsity, we expect them to be ready to play at some point. Now, you'd like to be able to get everybody in the ball game, and especially being their last regular season game. But at the same time, you can't overlook an opponent and say, "Hey, we're going to play everybody this week," because they practice and prepare just like we do. Now, they've struggled through some things that within the district, where they just had a problem stopping people. But they've been okay offensively in some situations, especially the other night. But they struggled against A&M. They struggled against Brian Rudder, and hopefully they'll struggle against us, and we can, make sure everybody gets in the game. But at the same time, there's some things we got to get better at, and we've got to stay sharp, because the next week it's for real in terms of you don't take care of your business, you're going home. So we got to be really careful with that, and that's why we talked about finishing this season the right way.
Coach, you talk about staying sharp as y'all head into the postseason. What are some of those specific areas that y'all are looking to improve upon as y'all head into the playoffs?
Well, there's going to be an opportunity, and probably opportunity might not be the right word, but, at some point we're going to have to line up and run the ball against somebody, but there's going to be a point where we may have to line up and throw it 40 times. So obviously, if we can continue, the last couple weeks, people have leaned the safety over Jordan Woodbury, and they said we're not going to let number 4 beat us deep. So you've got some of those things as you go into the game, and then of course during the game, that okay, what can we take advantage of? Can we continue to run the football? But at the same time, we'd love to be able to let AJ throw the ball more and just get used to that, because obviously at some point you may have to do that. And at the same time, defensively, and hopefully if I ask every defensive kid, they'd say they want to shut out. That'd be the first thing. But at the same time there, we gave up some yardage in the secondary and passing the other night. Some of it was we didn't get quite as much pressure as we have. And a lot of that's attributed to Montgomery's a pretty good football team, and they're well coached. But if we can get a little more pressure, but at the same time get better at the second and third level when the ball's in the air, because we didn't pick off a ball the other night, and we had a couple opportunities, but that's going to be something down the road that we got to be much better at. And always, special teams wise, you want to be sharp in whatever you do special team, because that's one play that can impact the outcome of a game.
Right, and obviously don't want to look too far ahead, but as you mentioned, already have had to start preparing for that first-round playoff game a little bit. One of the things that stands out about this year's playoff matchup is it's going to be against either Marshall or Nacogdoches, two teams that y'all are somewhat familiar with, played Marshall each of the past 2 postseasons, and then obviously beat Nacogdoches here at home to open the 2018 playoff run. For y'all as a coaching staff, does that help y'all at all maybe get a head start as you try to get ready for the postseason, just knowing that there's somewhat a little bit of familiarity between the two teams?
Not really, because Marshall, of course last year, the head coach that was there last year is still there, but the head coach that was there the first year we played them is not there. The head coach at Nacogdoches is new, so scheme-wise and things that they do or will try to do, we obviously may not know as much about them. Now I've got several coaches, got a lot of friends in East Texas, so we'll know as much as we can know about them, but I don't know that it helps a whole lot. Now obviously, if Marshall does win the game, then there's all the talk about all the last 2 years and the fact that I was the head coach there, and I try to ignore as much of that as I can, but again, I haven't looked at it and I'm not going to look at it. I know we're going to play one of those two next Friday night in Madisonville. So, but other than that, yeah, being familiar with maybe somebody who's played them is probably the biggest thing.
Well, wrapping up here in this segment with head coach Rodney Southern here on the Hornet Nation Coaches Show. Coach, you mentioned earlier, knock on wood, team has remained safe throughout the season, healthy, everything has been pretty good. So just wanted to ask you, as we head into this final district game before the playoffs start, the overall health of the team and just how practice has been so far this week, Coach.
Well, practice was Monday and Tuesday were really good. Of course, today it rained on us almost the entire time, but we've kind of shifted into our playoff mode in terms of practice schedules. We're getting more film and more weight stuff in the morning, and we had 2 really good days Monday and Tuesday, and we had a good day today other than the fact we got soaking wet. But health-wise, we're as, knock on wood right now, we're as healthy as we've been probably all year, because Justin Butcher was the one that we kind of been nursing a little bit because he had a tweaked up ankle. But other than that, we're now the COVID thing, you just keep your fingers crossed every day on that. But other than that, we're in really good shape. Big thing, our kids have learned how to practice. Even our sub-varsity kids now, they understand how to practice and stay on your feet, and you don't get guys hurt in practice. So right now we're in as good a shape as we could be in terms of a football program, getting ready for this game, and then obviously getting ready to go into the playoffs.
Well, Coach, as always, appreciate your time here in this first segment. Let's give it up for head coach Rodney Southern. Appreciate you, Coach. We're going to step aside. We'll take a break. We have player interviews coming up. When we come back, stay with us, friends. This is the Hornet Nation Coaches Show right here from True Texas Barbecue inside of HEB. We'll be right back. All right, friends, well, welcome back to True Texas Barbecue here for the Hornet Nation Coaches Show. How everybody's doing tonight? Been a fun night so far. We had a little tech issues. Everyone, why? Let's just wait till the last regular season Coaches Show to have a tech issue. That's the way it usually goes. But we're excited to be here tonight. We're now joined by sophomore offensive lineman Chris Smith. Let's give it up for Chris. Welcome, man. So, the first thing, Chris, how you doing tonight, man? Let's talk a little bit about that. And let's stay away from football for the first minute. How are things going, man?
Everything's going pretty nice. I'm a little tired, but
What'd you eat for Thanksgiving, man?
a lot of ham, not a whole lot of turkey. Turkey's too dry.
Does turkey put you to sleep? He said turkey's too. Did it put you to sleep, the turkey, if you eat it?
Yep.
And so let me ask you, if you ate a lot of ham and all this at Thanksgiving, did you have to spend a lot of time there in the weight room, running around, working it off, or was it just whatever, man?
It was honestly just whatever. I kind of just slept it all off and got ready the next morning to go play a game.
See, Chris said so. He goes, I slept it all off. Now, how many of us as older adults can we just sleep off what we eat? Wouldn't that be nice? That's great, man. Well, Chris, we're talking to offensive lineman Chris Smith. Chris, a really unique situation for you, young man. You're one of only 4 sophomores on the team. You start on varsity. What's it like being a sophomore playing on a varsity squad this year?
It's a lot more difficult than what I've been playing against my entire life. It's people that hit a lot harder than what they used to, and it gets like a lot more competitive and everything.
Well, the success has definitely been there for you guys this season. Your job out there is the offensive line, creating holes. You talk about your running back, Jalen McClain, his play. A lot of that starts with what you guys do on the front of that offensive line. How is the communication between that line and your quarterback, A.J. Wilson, and your running backs?
At first, not all of us really trusted each other that much. We were all still new to each other, but then we started, knowing each other, actually being actual teammates and everything, and started trusting each other to do our jobs.
What have you enjoyed so far this season? What has been some of the highlights for you, and what have you enjoyed most?
Most of the traveling and everything, all of it's like kind of new to me. I haven't really played on a lot of these places or ever been to these places.
Chris, you talk about coming together and trusting each other as teammates. Was there a specific moment in the season where you kind of noticed this team really start to click and gel together?
Yeah, when we played A&M, a lot of people doubted us actually winning that. They thought they were going to come in and just beat us, and our O-line just didn't let that happen. We got on the running game and ended up winning that game.
Right, you're one of the sophomores on a very young offensive line. How big was that A&M game just as far as boosting y'all's confidence throughout this season?
It was awesome. It was like our first actual tough opponent. So, us coming in, us fighting it out, all 4 quarters, being good, it was pretty exciting to see.
Right, as Rob mentioned, a really big season for Jalen that starts with you guys up front. Jalen closing in on 1,000 yards, the top rusher in District 10-5A Division II. As an offensive line, do y'all kind of carry that as a badge of honor, a little bit of pride, knowing that, hey, we're the offensive line that's driven this 1,000-yard rushing attack?
Yeah, we're definitely proud of that because at the beginning of the season, we weren't really confident in what we had to do. Mostly just passed a lot, but, we ended up coming off the ball faster and everything, and then we started running a lot more.
Of course, you're on the offense. Your defense has been taking care of business, too. Some pretty big hits. How exciting is that for you whenever you're there, as the offensive line, but then you get to take a break while the defense is out there and you're watching your defense and what they've been able to do? Talk a little bit about that and just the culture and the camaraderie between you guys on offense and defense.
It's awesome because they always make us better when we're doing inside or, anytime we're going against each other. It's always awesome to see those guys that are making us better going out and blowing out a team.
How big? Just talk a little bit. How big was that defensive line, and how tough of a group they are as far as y'all's growth as a young offensive line.
They always hit us hard. They make us better, and what was good?
How does that defensive line, make y'all better?
They don't hold back any time in practice. They're always going full speed, 100%, just to get us better, and we do get better every day.
Now, do they come out there and hit you as hard as they've been hitting the other guys? That's what I want, because we got to keep you guys healthy. So they're not hitting you that hard, are they?
No, not that hard. Not 100%.
Just so if the defensive guys, if you're watching, tone it down a little bit on the offensive guys. I'm not the coach. I won't tell you what to do. But we got to keep these kids healthy. Well, hey, man, Fulshire coming up. Lamar Fulshire coming up Friday. What are you looking forward to the most?
I'm looking forward to, end of the season on a right note, end of the season undefeated district champions and everything.
You talk about undefeated. Yeah, come on. We got a little clap back there on that. Let's give it up for that. You know, we talk about you guys have just continued to win and play very well, Chris. Is that going through your mind that, wow, we've won all these games, or is it just, hey, we got to get out there and win the next one? What really goes through your mind?
It's always the next game on my mind. Like, what can we do to win the next game and the next game and the next game, then end up winning state, hopefully.
Who have you looked up to in your life? Who's some role models?
I don't know. You mean like football-wise or just life-wise?
Anywhere, man. If you could think of one person that's kind of been there for you, maybe made a difference. It could be football, could be a teammate. Who comes to your mind?
Probably my little league coach, Coach TJ. You know, he always pushed me to be better than I am, and you know, he still does to this day.
Awesome, man. And you have some family here tonight, right? Your mom and your little sister here?
Yeah, right there.
All right, let's give it up for the welcome. Good to have y'all here tonight. Great to have y'all. Josh, a couple more questions from you.
Yeah, you know, just talk a little bit. You know, this has been obviously an exciting season, an undefeated run so far. What's been your favorite moment so far this 2020 season?
You know, I honestly don't know.
Too many of them, huh?
Too many. You know, we just haven't stopped winning, you know. That's it, honestly.
All right, well, hey, you know, just the last question I have for you. You know, this team's talked a lot about how the goal is always to go to state. You know, what is it about this group and this offense in particular that makes you think that y'all have that chance to go out there and accomplish that goal?
Because at any point of the game, we could just click and put a drive together, 12, 15-play drive, and just go down and score a touchdown and make the game interesting again.
There we go.
Well, a couple of final questions here. I like to ask this question, Chris. When you put on that jersey, you're a sophomore. You got a lot of time left, too, throughout high school, man. So you're just going to continue to grow and get better. And that's what's exciting because you're out here doing this as a sophomore. Have you thought about that? Have you ever think, man, I'm just a sophomore doing this, and you've still got 2 more years to go? Has that ever crossed your mind?
Yeah, it was honestly a little surprising over the summer when they told me I might be starting on varsity.
That's great, man. Well, you put on that Hornet jersey. What does that mean to you to be a Huntsville Hornet?
Never being satisfied with what you are, you know, always overachieving your goals.
Final couple of questions. Hobbies. What do you do outside of football?
Not a whole lot of stuff. Probably just play video games mostly and just hang out with my friends.
Future plans? Where do you want to be? You got a lot of time left. So this, you know, normally when I ask the seniors, they don't have a lot of time. You've still got a lot of time left. What are your future plans? Where would you like to be after high school?
I'd like to be at a either really high-paying job or in college. You know, get ready to go to the NFL.
30 years from now, you're Googling your name. You're typing up Thanksgiving ham because I don't like turkey. Your name pops up. What would you tell your future self now, 30 years from now?
Probably not the best thing to say on the radio.
Well, don't say it then. Yeah. All right, don't say it then. Hey, you know what you could say? You did great. Keep getting after it. Is that right?
Yeah.
All right, there we go, man. Well, final shout out, Chris. The camera's right there. Hey, and I appreciate your honesty, man. Camera's right there on you. Who do you want to send a shout out to tonight from Huntsville, Texas, man?
All my uncles, all my coaches, my entire family, my mom and dad.
Awesome. Let's give it up one more time. Chris Smith, appreciate you. Congratulations, young man.
Appreciate it, Chris.
We're going to step aside. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll have another player interview. Stay with us. It's been a fun one so far here on the Hornet Nation Coaches Show. We'll be right back in just a few minutes. All right, friends, well, welcome back. How's everybody doing tonight? Having a good night so far? All right, well, we are here now with our player as we'll talk to junior safety, Mr. Waylon Zappoli. Zaylon, what's going on, man? Waylon, good to see you, man.
Hey, good to see you too.
You know what I did? I just mixed I just said Zaylon because it's Waylon Zappoli, and somehow it came out as Zaylon, man.
Yeah, most people can't pronounce my last name.
But it is Zappoli, right?
Yeah, it's
awesome.
Zappoli.
Well, I told you if I mess anything up, like just chunk that microphone. So thank you for not doing that on me, Waylon. So how are things going, man? What have you been up to tonight? How was Thanksgiving? Tell us a little bit about that.
Thanksgiving was good. My grandparents got to come over, so it's always fun when you get the family together.
That's great. And they live here locally, or do they have to travel?
Most of them live pretty close, like 30 minutes.
Great. And you grew up here in Huntsville, correct?
Yeah, I grew up mostly in Huntsville, but I moved here in the 2nd grade, so pretty young.
What has it been like being here in Huntsville, man? It's a really close-knit community. Just for you in high school, what has the whole journey been like for you here in Huntsville?
Well, in Huntsville, a lot of things revolve around the football. Like, I can remember going to all the Friday night games all throughout high school.
Great.
Voice crack.
That's all right. Mine still does too, man, so we're good.
You know, Waylon, you're one of the juniors on a secondary that has a lot of guys that are playing on varsity for the very first time this season, and a lot of success for that group. How exciting has it been to be a part of a secondary that's really, at some point in games, taken over?
It's fun to run around the field in the back because you can come downhill on the run or get a pick if you're lucky,
And what's your favorite part about playing back there in the secondary?
I like to come down on the run.
Well, we're talking to junior safety Waylon Zappoli. A lot of success this year, man. If you started this season and said at this point you guys would be district champions, 7-0, what would you have thought?
I think that I thought we would be here. I mean, I knew we were going to be pretty good, and we are.
Talk a little bit about, your defense has been so strong, just that culture, and what's it been like being surrounded by a lot of those guys this year?
It's been fun to play with a bunch of seniors on defense because they can help you out and tell you what it's like. And I like defense because you get to hit people. So, yeah.
Right. Waylon, you talked about how on Friday nights you remember, growing up and, everything revolving around that Friday night football game. Who were some of those former Hornet greats that you kind of looked up to along the way that, helped mold you into the football player you are today?
Probably Jaden Schroeder. I like to watch him because he played what I played, and he was good. So.
And how much of he was just an influence, watching him, had that great performance at the Star in Frisco in the playoff game and just was a huge part of a couple of back-to-back playoff runs. What was the thing that you really liked and kind of took away from his game as a safety?
Well, I liked how he always was in the play. Like, if it was a run, he always got down there. Or if it was a pass, he would be there too. He was everywhere.
Well, we're talking to Waylon Zappoli, junior safety. Your defense, man. You mentioned earlier you like to get out there and hit people. Man, I don't know if I've never seen some of the hardest hits that I've seen this year ever in high school football. How do you guys get out there and prepare and make those type of hits and those tackles? Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, you really have to be kind of angry at your opponent. You can't like them or you won't want to hit them. So you just fly around and make plays.
Facing Full Share coming up on Friday, what's going through your mind? What are you looking forward to about this contest?
Well, I'm looking forward to playing them because I haven't got a pick yet. I want to get one of those. I dropped one last game. Yeah.
You get, every week you put on that Hornet jersey, whether it's game day or practice, you're wearing something to do with the Hornets. What does that mean to you, especially on game day? When you put that Huntsville Hornet jersey on, what does it mean to you and how important is that?
I think being a Hornet is how you hold yourself up and going out there and winning. And even if you don't win, then you're still, dignified.
Some role models. You mentioned some other players, some Hornet greats, but some role models in your life that you can think of that's made a difference.
Probably my dad. He comes to all my games and has always been there for me.
Outside of football, what do you like to do, man? Where are you at? What are your hobbies?
I like to play golf. It's fun, and I get to clear my head and go out there.
Awesome, man. Well, a couple of final questions here. Just a junior, so you still got another year ahead of you after this season, but future plans, where would you like to be?
Probably in college at pre-med. I want to go in the medical field, so yeah. Great, man.
And last question from me, just, as we continue this season, playoffs right around the corner, talk a little bit about the preparation, into this game first. So you've got to get through this final game, trying to go undefeated. Talk a little bit about the preparation heading into Friday.
Well, we've been watching a lot of film and just getting mentally prepared because at this point in the season, we're basically physically ready to go. But you just got to keep your head sharp and know what's going to happen.
The last question, just like I asked Chris, a lot of confidence with this group, high expectations of a deep playoff run. Why is it that you believe this team and this defense is capable of making that happen again this year?
Well, I think it's because we know what it takes because we've been seeing for the past couple of years the other people do it before us, and we know that we're going to have to go out there and play our hardest. So.
Well, final question, man. Camera's on you. I just checked. There is 2.8 million people that hopped onto the stream because they know how good you guys are, so they're trying to learn everything about every angle of the Hornets right now. I'm just kidding, by the way. But who do you want to send a shout-out to tonight? A little love from Huntsville, Texas, young man.
I want to shout out my mom and my brother and my sister and my dad watching this at home.
Awesome. Let's give it up one more time. Waylon Zappoli, good to have you here tonight, man. All right. Well, we'll step aside. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll hear about some exciting things going on with the Huntsville Hornet Booster Club. Stay with us, friends, as we continue the Hornet Nation Coaches Show right here on KSAM Live from True Texas Barbecue. We'll be right back in a few. Let's wrap it up here as we are in our final segment. We are live tonight from True Texas Barbecue. Appreciate them. I am here now with Brian Carroll of the Booster Club as well as Booster President, Miss Brandy McLaren. You know what? I'm just going to step aside. You guys take it away. I'm going to head out. So thank y'all for being here. No, I'm just kidding. Brian, what's going on, man?
Oh, not a lot. We appreciate HEB and True Texas for allowing us to meet here once again this week. And, man,
I'm just glad we're here.
That's right.
Yeah, I can tell this is going to be a fun segment here, having the booster here. And that's not just one, it's two people. We're actually going to tell some jokes. I'm just kidding. So, some exciting things going on. The shirts are on the way. I wanted to give you guys an opportunity to talk about those also.
We do have our shirts for sale. We're ordering short sleeve, long sleeve, and hoodies. They're $10, $15, and $25. For your extra sizes, they're $3 more. We're taking orders tonight. We're actually here set up to take orders this evening. Also tomorrow during the freshman football game, we'll open the concession stand at 5 o'clock through the entire freshman football game. And on Friday, we're going to set up and take orders before the football game in Madisonville from 6 to about 7:15.
That's cool. And so they're letting y'all, well, of course, it's basically like our home stadium for these last games. And so that's really cool that you're able to be there and set up. And you said at 6 o'clock. What was the time on that?
Tomorrow night?
Yeah, tomorrow and then the rest of the week. Yeah.
Okay, so tomorrow we will open at the concession stand at 5 p.m. We'll stay open through this freshman game. Now, the freshman game did get moved back till a 6 o'clock kickoff time tomorrow evening, so everyone has time to go online at hornetnation.org and buy your ticket and come out and watch the last freshman game of the year. Come out and support our guys. We got a really good group of young freshmen out there. So come on out and support them. You can pick you up some Hornet playoff gear. And also we have our some other Spirit gear also that's going to be available for sale.
Brandy, you know, the success of the team this season has just been unbelievable, dealing with so much adversity with COVID and everything else going on. You guys are both parents. Of course, you both each have a son that plays, with you with Cody, and then, of course, with you with Seth. Brian, what has it been like this year, especially as parents and being active in the Booster Club, but just for you as a parent, what has this whole year been like? And I'll start with you, Brandy, just going through that, and what has the attitude of the kids been as a whole?
The attitude for the kids is actually, they've been great. They have kept their spirits up. They've done what they needed to do to stay healthy, and I think that's been the key. As a parent of a senior, it's difficult because you never know when anything's going to stop. You know, prime example is we started late. Were we even going to have a season? Mm-hmm. And not knowing when it's going to be his last. And that's the difficult part because you don't know. And anything can happen. Now, again, you know, as I say this every Monday night and anytime I see anybody, I praise and greatly appreciate what our coaches have done as a staff to protect our boys and do everything in their power and what they can do to keep them safe and keep them healthy. We've heard it 100 times. You could probably eat off the floors in our field house. It's so clean, and you've seen it.
Oh, yeah, it's beautiful.
They keep that sucker spotless. So it's been fun. It's been interesting. It gets stressful. Christy, Seth's mom, actually looked at me the other night and thought I was going to have a stroke. It was a very stressful game, but well worth it in the end. So I'm just ready to see what happens with these boys. It's a great group of kids. It's a special group of kids, and so I can't wait to see what they come up with this week.
Brian, kind of the same question for you. You know, your son Seth, a junior, I believe, is that correct? And so he's still got another year, but is that correct, right?
Yes, Seth is a junior.
So kind of what has that been like for you, and what have you seen from him and the same question as far as that goes?
You know, I think the main thing about football or pretty much anything that's been going on, whether it's volleyball or, you know, the kids practicing for baseball or whatever, it's a sense of normalcy. And that's what these kids have to have, is a sense of normalcy in their life. You know, we unfortunately and hopefully we don't have to shelter in place, you know, for the rest of our lives, but, you know, we'll get through this and we will survive. My son's only a junior, so we know we have another opportunity as to where, you know, the seniors, they may not have that opportunity, but hey, we're looking forward to possibly playing 7 more games, and that's what we're wanting, is 7 more games.
Yeah,
so.
A lot of season left, and we're just believing in these kids. You know, talking about believing in the kids, it's something that we're going to mention quite a bit here as we go on, but part of believing in the kids is them believing in themselves first. They've got to believe in themselves, and these kids do. They've seen so many great things happen, and a lot of these kiddos, they want to play in their own house, and nothing against Sam Houston or any other facility, but we're one of only 2 schools in the state of Texas that does not have a facility to call our own to play in. And I admire the guys this season and even some of the underclassmen, because they know that down the road, if a new stadium, we're hoping that one will be built, that down the road when that happens, they're not going to be playing in that stadium, but they want that for
You're
their friends.
Right.
And that's so impressive.
And it's not just football. It's baseball and softball
baseball
as well.
Softball also.
You know, so we're hoping that the community will step up and help us with this possible bond, and you know, later on in the year. It's well needed, you know, for our kids that graduated this past year. They didn't even get to have graduation in their hometown. They had to go 30 minutes down the road to another stadium and have their graduation, and that's not fair.
And something that I always want to make clear is when all of this does finally get put together and come to fruition, you know, we'll definitely interview those that know the full scope of how all this is going to work. So we don't want to give any misinformation, of course. But one thing that I do know of is there is not going to be a football stadium bundled in with another bond for educational things.
Right.
So that is something just wanted to be very clear about, and I've talked about that because I've talked to several people in the community that said, well, they shouldn't put those together. They're not going to put those together. That you can't put those together because of the cost of the facility. It's just there's a separation between that. So you don't have to worry about that. There's nothing that's going to affect classroom and education. But I think these two things go hand in hand because I've seen it in a community firsthand. Whenever that community got their own stadium and upgraded the facilities, they already had their own, but they upgraded. The other facilities were not in good shape. They upgraded it, and it changed the whole dynamic of not only that high school, but the community as well. And it's an economic benefit because you can actually rent those facilities out during playoff runs. Other teams need a place to play. So I think that's some things as well. So we're going to continue the dialogue and talk about that. And just we really want to educate the community on what that would mean for the Huntsville community and most importantly for the kids because it does all go hand in hand.
Go ahead, Brian.
Sorry, that's right. And Huntsville has been in the past kind of the home of Region 3 for all sports. This is kind of the centralized location. So if we had our own football stadium here for the smaller class divisions and stuff to come in, we would be able to rent our stadium out every weekend for playoff runs. We would be able to have for track meets, the baseball fields and stuff. If we was able to build new baseball and softball stadiums and stuff, we would be able to do the same with that. Instead of us having to rent, because people, I don't know if the community understands it, we have to pay to USAM, Houston State University. It costs us money every week when we play at their stadiums or if we play we rent from the city also. So, it's beneficial down the road. And I dropped a new hashtag today, so I'm just going to throw it out there. It's called hashtag Hornets deserve own stadiums. Okay. And there's an S on the end because we deserve a new football stadium, we deserve new baseball fields, and our kids deserve new softball fields. Our kids deserve it. Our kids won't ever play there. It won't ever happen. But the youth, the kids that's coming up in elementary, middle school, our kids in this community deserve something of their own.
Well, I think that's great. And like I said, we'll continue the dialogue about this. And as we receive more information, we'll definitely bring it to you. Brandy, before we go, again, Spirit Gear going to be on sale. Some final thoughts before we go.
Just some final thoughts. We want everybody to come out on Friday night if you haven't gotten your tickets for Friday night yet, even though, it will definitely clinch our district championship as undefeated, hopefully, and definitely. And we want everybody to come out and support up to our capacity that we can have at the stadium. And then, of course, once we hit playoffs, we want everybody out in full force on that. And with that being said, in bringing the community into this, we kind of had an executive board meeting last night, and we thought we asked so much of the community to give back to us and help our boys out that as the Huntsville Hornet quarterback club, we want to give back to the community. So, Rob, we're here tonight, and I'm going to turn this over to Brian for a minute, to show our support to the community as well.
Okay, so on behalf of the Huntsville Hornets football program, Coach Southern, the Hornet Football Boosters Club is proud to be able to join in and support our community during Radio MASH.
Oh, man.
We couldn't do what we do without the support of the people of Huntsville. We are proud of our district champion Hornets, but prouder of the community we come from, where neighbors help those in need. Remember this season to help someone if you can. So join us in this year's motto of hashtag BTS, which stands for Be the Standard. And as our Hornets take the field and hashtag BTS, wear your Hornets gear and sting 'em Hornets. So on behalf of the Huntsville Hornets Football Quarterback Club, we would like to make a cash donation to Radio MASH.
Wow. Well, thank you guys so much for that. We really appreciate that. It's an event that we love doing here with the community. I got to be with it last year and now, of course, here full time. But thank y'all so much, man, for that.
You're welcome.
So a wonderful donation tonight to help support Radio MASH, making smiles happen. You guys have given back. You don't realize it. You guys have given back so much to the kids, to the community, supporting us this year and just doing everything, and most importantly for these kids. So thank y'all for what y'all do, and we appreciate the generous donation tonight for Radio MASH. Thank y'all so much.
All right,
thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, before we go, you know how we do it every time before we end the show. Did y'all have anything final to add? One last time.
Hey, don't forget to pre-order your Hornet playoff gear, because there will be a very, 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 can I say very multiple times, limited number of extra stuff that we're going to order. We're not going to carry a bunch of playoff gear over as we've done in the past. So if you don't order it tomorrow night or Friday night at the game, you may not get it if you want it. And we're looking at 7 more weeks of playing football, people. 7 more weeks.
7 more weeks. Well, Brandy, as y'all know, we end every show the same way. And I want to thank everybody for joining us here tonight for another edition of the Hornet Nation Coaches Show. We're looking forward to many more of these. We're going to keep the show rolling throughout the playoffs. Of course, if you're interested in being involved with the playoffs, sponsoring the playoffs, we do have opportunities available for that as well. Our current sponsors will have first priority, first right of refusal, but feel free to reach out, Rob at KSAM1017.com. Excuse me, as I end every broadcast, I want to remind you tonight that we're not strong enough alone to make it on our own. We need each other, friends. Provide a word of encouragement. Lend a hand of support. Somebody out there tonight needs you. Now, as we end all of these, we'll say it on the count of 3. Sting 'em Hornets on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
Sting 'em Hornets!
Good night, and God bless from Huntsville, Texas. We'll see you on Friday at 7 p.m. Good night, everyone.